on, let's jam because there are some new updates about Netflix's long-awaited Cowboy Bebop live-action TV adaptation, all about our favorite spacefaring bounty hunters. Last week, news broke that the highly anticipated series added 6 actors to the series in mostly supporting roles, including Jeff Stultz as Jet Black's former co-detective, who's now dating Jet Black's ex-wife. Yikes. We have Tamara Tooney as Anna, who runs a jazz club on Mars and basically serves as Spike Spiegel's surrogate mom, and Mason Alexander Park as Gren, Anna's right-hand person, described as, quote, a Bowie-esque embodiment of 22nd century handsome and seductive beauty who is as capable with their wit as a Glock, which pretty awesome right there. So they also joined the previously announced John Cho as the cavalier but compassionate bounty hunter Spike Spiegel, Mustafa Shakir as Jet Black, the cop turned space dad, Daniela Pineda as the femme fatale Faye Valentine, Alex Hassel as the villainous Vicious, and Elena Satine as Julia, Spike's former flame. So my question to the panel is, what are your thoughts on this new and existing cast, and what do you hope to see from this series? Sam, I see you having a visceral reaction there.
Let's God, I'm so excited for this. I'm remaining cautiously optimistic about this. I think, like many people, Cowboy Bebop is my favorite anime. I love the casting for Jet and Faye and Spike. I think Spike especially is inspired casting. I think that's been great. But I have a couple questions. The first is, who's playing Radical Edward? We still don't have an answer for that yet. Fourth, like, main cast member here. That's big for me. And the second thing that I'm super excited about this announcement in particular is Mason Alexander Park as Gren is an amazing choice. Mason is non-binary themselves. And on Twitter, they said that Gren's original line from the anime, I am both at once and neither one, when talking about their gender, is one of the most poignant non-binary quotes in television history. And they're really pleased with Bebop's decision to continue to hold space for that story to be told with care and intense thoughtfulness. So I love that they took this character that in the anime is like clearly non-binary and like is handled like a little weird because anime is old at this point. Like, our way of talking about these things changes very quickly. But I think it's amazing that they have like really taken that to heart and cast an amazing non-binary actor who's obviously very passionate about this. And like, I think that's so cool. More of that. I want more of that.
Exactly. And also just the description that they give of Gren in this just gets me so hyped up for some like David Bowie-esque like glam androgyny on a Martian jazz club. And it's interesting because now that I was reading about this a little bit more and talking about how this character, they wanted to treat it perhaps with the same level of care they are now, but they didn't necessarily have the same vocabulary to describe what they wanted to that we do nowadays. So it's nice to see that they are staying true to the spirit of the series while making thoughtful, progressive changes to the source material. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this. But I'm curious, you know, I because it is so near and dear to my heart, you know, as a bomb-ass soundtrack and all these iconic characters, you know, anime adaptations have a spotty track record at best. That is being very generous. They have enough trouble adapting to live action in many instances in Japan, in Japanese, but doubly so when you try to take that and transpose it for American audiences. So how do you think that Cowboy Bebop can avoid the pitfalls that so many American and live action anime adaptations fall into? And Markia, let's start with you on this one.
Sure. Don't do what Death Note did. That's be aware of the nuances that come with this, with this particular anime, with anime in general. It's like you don't do broad brush strokes when it comes to this. You pay attention and respect the original subject matter, like you said with the soundtrack. I mean, I have I have like the whole 10 hours of Cowboy Bebop. I have that for when I need to get some writing done. As part of the rotation. I mean, I feel like they're going to do a good job on this. One of the things was, yes, obviously gender variant representation, like respecting that. Obviously with like the choices of the actors that they have picked. And as far as Edward's concerned, it's like I'm a-okay with that being a newcomer that we don't really hear about. We only really experience them when we actually see them, on the screen. I am a-okay with that. I just really, really need for them to not just make it a shoot it up space thriller. I want us to go in on those characters. I want us to feel the music change along with what's going on screen. I just I need for them to do that, because I don't want to ever like click on this for Netflix, or I don't want to be that person that's like, well, I can't ever watch any live action Netflixes because I know what I'm going to get. I want them to surprise.
Yeah, I think especially when you have, I think you brought up some great points, especially like even just looking at the source material. This is like, even like decades later, it is one of the most stylish anime of all time. It's influenced so many people. And I think to their credit, the people at Netflix and Tomorrow Studios who are making this have tapped one of the series creators, Shinichiro Watanabe, as a creative consultant to hopefully keep a thumb on the pulse of this. But yeah, it's a real challenge because, you know, Netflix was in the headlines a few months ago when the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender left that departure over creative differences. And like, look, sometimes the intersecting forces of commerce and art are often at odds, which is disappointing, but it is an unfortunate byproduct of the world in which we live. But I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic with this. But I'm curious for you, Henry, what knowing that the creators involved and knowing that like the approach that they seem to be taking from the casting, what we've seen so far, what do you hope to see from Cowboy Bebop, and what do you think it needs to do to succeed?
Well, you know, like you said, the Avatar news about the creators kind of stepping out for creative reasons really doesn't sit well with me for this. And as Markia had mentioned, the Death Note series was not well received. So it's one of those things where like I have such a special memory of waiting until like midnight to watch Cowboy Bebop with my sister, and we would make like, you know, ramen cups so we could watch this together. And so there's this like nostalgic feeling, and also going to the movie theater to see the feature-length film. You know, there's so much love and respect for this property that I don't have with a lot of things that isn't like outside of Batman and the Avengers. So and also we live in a time where you need a good adaptation. You know, Amazon really delivers with the boys. Like, if they don't do well with this, there are other places to go to get good adaptations for things that we love. So I think this is a real make or break moment for Netflix and anime fans.
Yeah, and I also think as well they maybe have an advantage as opposed to certain things like Death Note, because this is a series versus like a movie, where like if you're trying to cram the entire saga of Cowboy Bebop into 2 hours, you're going to just look foolish and like leave with not really a good sense of who these characters are. Like the Cowboy Bebop feature film is a great encapsulation, but it also expects you, I think, to have at least a working knowledge of a lot of who these characters are. But I'm hopeful that, much like seems to be the case with, as we'll get to in our next segment, with video game adaptations from the console or the PC to the television screen, I think that might be the way to go as opposed to feature films.